know it's crazy, baby, bro. Like I watched Married with Children. In my mind, I still see it like, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's caught up with the times. I mean, just like the footage and the picture of it. It's the best taco. I think you said you had a fish taco, shrimp taco. I forgot you had like 3 tacos.
Yeah, I had 3 little tacos. It was two.
All right, what's up, familia? Welcome inside the pad. Hope you guys are doing good. Keep in between the lines. Got your load secure. And today, or this evening, morning, whatever time of day you guys may be watching, I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about trucking with my boy Fernando. Let's go ahead and let's get him up in here. What's up, Fernando?
What's going on, brother? What's going on? How you doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
A little tired. Long day at work. So,
Was it?
uh,
And that's one of the things, man, about being a trucker. It's not your 9 to 5. You know,
no.
uh, there's as a matter of fact, I'll tell everybody this for the most part, it's not 100% guaranteed across the board, but for the most part, trucking 40 hours a week is part time for truckers. That's pretty much what it is, man. I rarely run into any truckers that work 40 hours a week. That's for an actual trucker, that's kind of looked at as part time. So, but but yeah, man, a lot going on in trucking, man, and a lot of people freaking out and all that stuff. But with all that, dog, let's go ahead and let's get into your story a little bit. Now, you and I met because of YouTube and because of a good friend of ours, Pastor David Rocha, man. Can you talk to us just a little bit about you knowing Pastor David?
Um, well, first, real quick, um, I just wanted to throw this out there. I know that the last time we did a video, it uh, it may have came across that I didn't take ownership of my sin.
Mhm.
I do take ownership, and I have repented. I have done my work to, and ultimately, my wife has forgiven me. So, I just wanted to throw that out there real quick, bro.
And,
Um,
and and it took a lot, man. It takes a lot for somebody to come out and talk about what you talked about, man. So
yeah.
yeah,
So, Pastor David, also, I mean, I knew who he was, who his former self was. Um, so, and then also we connected on YouTube as well. He, I started watching his devotionals, um, every day, um, and listening to his sermons. I actually don't listen to his sermons on Sundays. I listen to him on Monday when I go to work. It's the first thing I put on. Um, and then we connected. We connected. One of the times he came to Temecula, I think he did a funeral, and me and my wife drove to Temecula, which is about an hour from us, and we had dinner with him and Sister Sharon, and we just like, it's just you know him, you've met him, so it's you, and I think you met him through YouTube as well. But when you meet him, it's like you guys have known each other, or we've
yeah,
known each other forever. My wife was like, babe, you talk to him like you've known him forever. I said, because I feel like I have, like I do, you know?
yeah,
That's just the type of people they are. So ever since then, every time they come down to San Diego, um, we make it a point to go out to dinner and break bread and meet with them, and we go to wherever they're at. So it's been amazing, just to be able to become friends and brothers. So
yeah. Definitely, it's definitely inspirational. And what I tell everybody that asks, like, hey, what are they like in person? Exactly what you see on YouTube, man. They're exactly the same. That's why I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel. Like I've known you forever. We hit it off fast, man. It's like,
yeah,
man, feel like I've known him forever. But so let's talk about you, man. You got into trucking at a very early age in driving. I thought I got into trucking pretty early,
yeah.
but you got behind a pretty big steering wheel, man. while you were still in high school. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So as I've said before, I grew up in a small town. So
Mhm.
while it was a small town, um, so I started working for one of the local furniture companies and as a helper. And then one day they needed someone to drive, and they're like, "Will you drive the truck?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll drive." I was young, and cocky, so I was like, "I'll drive whatever," you know. So that's how I started driving, and it was a bobtail. So I started off in a bobtail, and then as the years went by, from there I went to a different uh, furniture company, and it was uh, a little bit bigger of a bobtail. And then from there, every time I made a move, like I don't really count those jobs in my high school year as real jobs. But when I made a move, I made it to improve.
Were
So
were they asking for a Class B license at all, or it was just a small town and it's just like, hey kid, just jump in the truck and we'll go ahead, we'll pay you cash.
no, it was a Class C truck. So
Oh, Class
it
C,
was
okay,
24 footer, anything 24 feet and under, and GVW under 26,000. You don't need a Class B. So
right,
that's what it was.
okay.
And then I did that for a couple years, and then that's when we started having a family, building, making a we had our daughter, our first daughter, and so I ended up applying at Milgard Windows, and they had a branch right there in Hollister, and I worked there for shoot, I think 8 years. I worked there for 8 years, and then I ended up becoming a supervisor there. So it was a little bit tough because they wanted me to hold these guys accountable for some of the stuff that I used to do. So there was a conflict right there, like taking a little bit longer lunch
And,
or
and and did these guys know that you were doing that you used to do the same stuff?
well, they knew. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, and not necessarily even take a longer lunch because I never really, even to this day, I don't really take a lunch. I just eat on the road as I go.
Mhm.
And but if you had to use a truck for something or whatever, they just wanted me to hold people accountable to that, and it was real hard. And not only that, like as a supervisor, your phone is going on off nonstop.
Mm.
So um, there was just a bunch of little things. So I ended up leaving there, and that's when I actually got into towing. I got into
So
towing, and I towed for 10 years, and that's where I got a lot of my experience. Because I drove or towed anything from 2 wheels to 18 wheels and anything in between. When I went to towing is actually when I got my Class A. Um, and
wow.
and the company that I worked for, um, the owner of that company, he actually sent me to school to get my Class A, because he liked my work ethic and he liked the way I took care of business. And so he sent me. He goes, "I want you to get your Class A so you can start driving the big stuff." I was like, "Send me," you know. Um,
Okay.
so, and he wanted me to sign a contract for 2 years with that I would stay with him for 2 years.
Mhm, mhm.
And like I said, I grew up old school. I grew up in a small town, so I was like, you know what? I don't need to sign a contract. My handshake, I'll shake your hand, and that's my guarantee to you that I'll stay for 2 years. And he looked at me like kind of shocked, and he's like, all right, I'll take that. So we shook on it, and I ended up working for him for 8 years. So,
Wow.
um, and
What,
that, like I said, go ahead.
going back, what's up to everybody up in here, man? Shouts to the 505, homie. Um, what made you from high school say like, "Yeah, I could drive that, no problem"? I mean, you're saying you grew up in a small town, man. Were you driving things like bobtails already? Like, some people are a little intimidated and be like, "Nah, I don't want to drive that big old thing."
Well, you know, being Mexican, we kind of follow in footsteps of those ahead of us. So
Mhm.
my dad was a truck driver.
Okay.
So I used to go with him me and my brother used to go with him when I was little. Um, so it just kind of like, hey, that's what pops did. I guess that's what I'm gonna do. Um, so what's up, Pastor? Um, yeah, so that's what I ended up getting into, and it's not really what I wanted to do, but at the time I was, like I said, my wife had got uh, pregnant. She was pregnant with our first kid, and I needed to work. So
Would
actually, going back when I first, um, right before got hired at Milgard,
mhm,
that was when they still offered that program where the what was it? I forget the name of the program through the state. They would pay for you to get your Class A, and I was
mm,
actually gonna go, and they called me for the interview. The manager really liked me, and he hired me on the spot. And I was actually supposed to start school the same day that started work. So I was like, it was do I go to work or do I go to school, and I'm not going to make money. I got a baby on the way. I need to make money. So I went to work.
yeah,
So
yeah. Hey, talk to us a little bit about towing big rigs. I see that. Damn, I've never towed a big rig. I've never been in towing, man. So this company that you were with towed four wheelers and big rigs.
we towed everything, bro. So we towed anything from 2 wheels to 18, and like I say, everything in between. So I've towed airplanes, I've towed big boats, containers, machinery. Um, it's because we had a lot of tow companies. They have landau trailers. It's kind of like a low boy. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yes.
Um, so we had a tractor that hauled that trailer, and then we had our heavy haul, couple medium duties. But getting into doing the heavy hauling, it was fun. At first it was intimidating because you're like, oh crap, I gotta drive that big old truck, and then I'm gonna haul that big old truck behind it. So it's like it's it was challenging, but at the same time, I was young and I was cocky. I used to be real cocky and like I can drive anything, and I
Mhm.
was always really good at it. I was always really good. I've always been really good at driving. My wife makes fun of me because she's like, sometimes when we're in her car and I have to parallel park, I'll struggle a little bit, right? And she's like, "Babe, you can parallel park your big rig anywhere, but you can't park this little car." So, but yeah, it was fun. Every day was challenging. That's what I liked about it. It was every day was different. You never knew what you were gonna run into that day. So it
Okay.
was just, having to get underneath these trucks, pull drive lines, and or pull axle. Sometimes you had to pull axles, or it was just like I said, it was challenging. Or if you get something that rolled over, and you got to figure out how you're going to get it back on its wheels,
Mhm.
or doing these recoveries downhill, 150, 100, 200 feet down a hill. So unloading trucks on the side of the road. Um,
Mhm.
you've been driving for a while, so I'm sure you see some of those guys when they're working.
Yeah, yeah, man, and I'm not gonna lie, man, that does look pretty damn interesting, man. That does look pretty firme to do. So, was there any pressure, man, from your family since your old man was a troquero? Was there any pressure like, "Hey, son, just be a trucker, man," or that was just more like you saying like, "Okay, this is the route I'm gonna go down."
No, he actually early on had wanted me to go to a trade school.
Okay.
He wanted me to go to a trade school. My grandfather, who I was very close to, wanted me to go to the military. Um,
Mhm,
that was actually his dream to see me go to the military.
mhm,
And but no, I actually wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to go to school to be a mechanic, and it never happened. So I was gonna go to. I was looking into this school in Arizona, to
mhm.
go to. Just it's like a 9-month course they certify you. I was actually in between going for either cars or motorcycle. So,
Okay,
but yeah.
okay. All right. And then from that towing company, when did you get into just trucking?
So it's from the towing company I started delivering containers.
Uh,
Um, and that was a day cab with a container trailer behind it.
from
Um,
the ports, or you go pick up the container in the yard?
no, have you ever? It's for a company. They rent them out to for construction or when there are
Oh,
people that need to store stuff.
oh
They
yeah.
they range from anywhere from 10 feet to 45 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Every construction site you see some container trailers. Yeah, they use it for whatever storage. It could
yeah.
some of them I see them use them as like offices.
No, we would deliver them. People would use them as an office. They'd use them for storage. They'd use them for to put in their backyard and store a car. They'd use them for anything, you know. And then
Yeah.
we had ones that were actual offices that
Mhm.
looked like a container, but the inside was all sheetrock that had AC and stuff. So I
Okay.
did that for 4 years, I think, and
Mhm.
then I went there because I was tired of working weekends.
Okay.
And I was towing. You're on call all the time. My kids had started getting older, um, and I was towing. It just really consumes your life, and it's. I'm not knocking it. I had a good time doing it. Um, for me, it's more for somebody that's single, you know, because you can be up for 2 3 days at a time, and as long you're making money as your wheels are rolling. If your wheels are sitting still, you know, you're not making money.
How's the
That's how it
money?
was at the company that I worked for.
eh, How's the money in towing? I heard it's pretty good. How's the pay with towing?
It's good if you get on a commission based um, hourly. I mean, if you get a decent hourly rate, then it's all right. But you're gonna make money on commission.
Okay.
So we would get a flat salary,
Mhm.
and then once you hit that salary, you cap that salary. Everything after that was extra. And I used to make my salary. I would make it in 4 or 5 days. So the next, you know, 6 7 days on the pay period on the books was all commission.
So let me
So
ask you this, man. When you left towing, did you take a little bit of a pay cut? And I don't just mean hourly, I just mean what your check was showing.
uh, I did, I
Okay.
did, but to me it was worth it
Yes.
because like I said, it consumes your life. It
Mhm.
consumes your life, and because I did everything, because I hauled everything, I was on call a lot more than other guys
Mhm.
because I can drive any of the trucks. And we were on rotation with CHP and local PD. Um, so if they called, I had to go. You know, and you have a certain amount of time to get there and do what you got to do. You know.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and I can relate to that, not to towing, but I can relate to what you're talking about because there were opportunities for me to go into other trucking and make more than what I was making, but it wasn't the schedule, that I wasn't willing to sacrifice the schedule that I had. I'm like, especially when my kids were young, today they're young adults, but when they were actually kids, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, look, I could go do this. I had a few options where I could go make a little bit more feria, but I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Man, I'm gonna be working Saturday. I'm gonna be working Sunday. Shouts to all the troqueros that are out there doing it on the weekend, man. But I have a good schedule, right? And I'm like, man, I can make a good amount of extra change, but is it worth it to me, to be working, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday evening, things like that to make some more extra feria. And I'm like, nah, you know what? I'll just stick it out, man. And then I remember I was offered, okay, we'll pay you this much more. I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good. At some point, man, peace of mind and schedule, especially if you got a family, I get exactly what you're talking about, man.
Well, Well, I didn't understand that back then. You know, I didn't understand those things that I do now, because it was just, for me, it was just about making money. Like, I need to make money. I need to make sure that I have everything, that my family has everything that they need and more.
Mhm.
So I like fully indulged myself into it, and it's like, it did cause problems between me and my wife, but you know, I didn't see it as a problem. I saw it as like, I'm doing what I got to do to make sure you guys got what you need. You know, so but I understand that now, and I made a promise to her, um, right before or right after we moved, when we moved here to San Diego, was I would never let my job consume me again.
Mhm.
Um, and she holds me to that, now, and that's why when we first moved out here, that's when I got hired at Waste Management, and that was I got lucky there, because I was still living in NorCal,
Mhm.
and I came out here when I moved her and the girls here. I came out here. I was able to schedule my interview while I was here moving them, and then when they called and offered me the job, they allowed me to do all the paperwork and all the physical stuff in Oakland. So
Okay.
so when I left there, I left my job on a Friday, and I came down here and started work on Monday. So I never skipped a beat
Mhm.
working. And then I did that. I did roll off for uh, for 6 years. For 6 years, a little almost 6 years. And then again, it was waste management. Is like, that's always, when you were talking to the guy the other day. Um, it's very demanding, that job, because it's garbage. Garbage never stops. So, and it was union, so it was 6 days a week mandatory.
Wow.
So it was Monday through Saturday. Sundays were my only days off. Um, so I had I wasn't even looking for the job that I'm at now. I wasn't looking. I just happened to ask or tell somebody that used to work with me, that started their own business. Hey, if you hear of anything, let me know. And they're like, oh, the company across the street is hiring. So they sent me the manager's email, sent to my resume. Um, got called. They called me not even with an hour of sending the resume, bro, and scheduled the interview. And that was all God right there. Just He knew what I was looking for, and it was an increase in pay. It's Monday through Friday. I get all my holidays back.
Mhm.
Um, so it's and now I'm driving it's a I deliver. We're similar. Well, United Rentals. They're one of our competitions.
Okay.
So they deliver the trench plates and shoring and all the big old trench boxes that you see in the holes on construction sites.
Mhm.
Uh, that's what I deliver. So I drive it's a 3-axle Peterbilt with a 40-foot trailer behind it, and then I have a crane right behind my cab that I operate to deliver everything.
Okay, so it's a step deck. It's a flatbed, right?
Yeah, it's a step deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
All right. Hey, let's go back on to waste management real quick, man. That's pretty interesting working with trash and all. You guys got all holidays off, right? I mean, like
nope.
no, you didn't. You didn't get like President's Day and those days off?
Waste management runs 24/7, bro.
Okay. I'm just going off that, oh, the trash didn't come today, because of the holiday, they're going to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but you're saying it works every day though.
let me step back.
Mm,
So there's three lines of business in the trash. It's
okay.
roll off, it's residential, and then there's commercial.
Mhm.
Commercial. So you know what roll off is, right?
Yeah, I was explaining. I had talked to some dude with the roll off. So it's basically without the trailer. It's just got the two little lanes there.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there's that, and then commercial is like what you see in parking lots, or or in apartment complexes where they come in and they fork it and then they dump it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then residential is the ones where they come to your house and you see them, they lift it up on the side and it dumps your cans.
Mhm.
So roll off for the most part got some of the holidays off, not all of them. And because we're a union, we had to, whether there was 8 hours work or not, we had to stay there for 8 hours. So they would tell us like, if you finish your route in 4 hours, 6 hours, then you need to park somewhere and wait, and then you come back and clock out at the 8 hours. Um, and then residential would get the days off. So that's why you'll get the, oh, we're a day late this week, because they would get the day off. And so they make it up. But then they have to make it up on their off day.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a catch 22. You can take the day off, or you can you can work it. And but if you take the day off, you're going to have to come and make it up. So
Okay. Okay. All right. So you get a day off, but you don't really get an extra day off. You just
no,
push back.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense, man. Because in my head, I'm thinking like, well, okay, well, wait a second. If they didn't work Monday, do they double the drivers on Tuesdays? Because they're not supposed to be here, whatever trash day is, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, but I get it. So they just work the day that they weren't supposed to work originally.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So for the
okay.
most part, residential runs Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
So, like I say, if the holiday was on a Monday, they'd get if they took it off, then they'd have to work Saturday to make up for it.
Okay. Okay. Hey man, so yeah, I mean, you're still trucking, you're still doing it up. So altogether, I mean, what are we looking at? How many years do you got under your belt, man, trucking?
So my oldest daughter is 24,
Hmm.
so 26 years. I
Wow.
thought it was 25, but it's 26.
Okay.
So
Okay.
26
All
years.
right, man. That's right. That's right, man. So, hey, brother, we're texting a little earlier today, and one thing that you brought up, I thought was actually pretty cool, man. I kind of want to talk a little bit about it, and that is the differences that you have seen in trucking when you first got in to what we see today.
Yeah.
And like you, I've actually dabbled in many different aspects of trucking as well. I didn't just stick with I didn't jump on to one type of trucking and that's what I stood with. I had to jump around trying to grab on to something, man, and eventually I did. But what's the difference, or some of the differences that you have seen in 26 years of trucking from 26 years ago to today? What are some of the biggest changes, or just some of the changes that have really captured your eye? What's up, Willie Pub?
The the pride. Nobody has, pride in their work anymore. Nobody nobody I've always been like, this isn't just a work truck. This is my office. So it's like the I've always trained people no matter where I'm at. I've always been like one of the trainers. So right now, just for what got us on that topic this morning was I'm training a guy, and in his eyes, it's just a work truck. So he's very messy. He's very like something. I mean, when you're shifting gears, it takes some finesse. It's
Mhm.
just not just like I'm gonna ram it in there and it's gonna go. So that and just more like I said, taking pride in what you do, like the little things, keeping your truck in order, keeping all your straps rolled up nice and order and tight, and everything nice and neat, and simple little things like, I don't know if you've hauled flatbed before, but like
Yes.
how you do your straps, like how you if you run them through the rails in between the actual bed of the truck and the little rail, if
Mhm.
you put them, how you set them, and just making these guys understand, like, there's, like, when you go down the road, me personally, when I go down the road, I like my stuff to look all nice and tight and uniformed. I don't like it to look like, oh, that thing's gonna fall off over here, or that strap's flapping around. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like little things like that bug me, bro. My wife says I'm borderline OCD, but like little things like that really annoy me. And when I see another truck driver going down the road and I see that, I'm just like, I just shake my head, you know.
Mm, mm,
And there's this old guy that comes. He's one of our outside haulers, and he's been trucking. He probably bleeds diesel, bro. Um,
okay.
and he's like, hey, Nando, he goes, make sure you teach that guy the old school way. I said, that's what I'm trying to do, man. I said, he goes, no, and he's an older guy. He's probably in his mid 60s. He stops, and he's one of those old white dudes that doesn't care, that just says whatever he wants,
Uh,
and he's got his mustache. If he shaves it in the morning, it'd probably be back in 20 minutes. He's that type of guy, you know. So he's like, no, listen to what I'm telling you. Train him the old school way.
mhm.
Like, teach him. Really take your time and teach him. He really likes that guy, so he wants him to succeed. Um, and this guy, he just got his license like not even a month and a half ago, so he's completely green.
Okay.
Um, and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna do my best to teach him. When it comes to downshifting, when you're coming down a hill, it's downshifting down a hill. I've never used the clutch before, so to see these guys like pick up their left foot, it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing over there, bro? Like,
Yeah, okay, so look, I never went to truck driving school, man. I've told my story before,
yeah,
maybe I'll tell it again someday, but I never went to truck driving school. I got taught by my uncle, and, a couple of guys that came out of truck driving school, they were doing the whole double clutching thing, and I was like it was weird for me, not I wasn't thinking like, "Hey, they don't know how to do it." I was actually thinking that I'm doing something wrong.
yeah,
Right? Because that's what I was taught. I was taught by my uncle, "Hey, you don't use the clutch when you change gears, you just finesse it right in. You don't start grinding gears either, right?"
yeah,
And I would see some guys, pop so much, man, that the truck will shake a little bit.
yeah,
And I'm like, "Son of a gun, man, you're gonna break this sucker, man." But yeah,
yeah,
so when I started seeing some guys, "Oh yeah, double clutch, double clutch." And in my mind, I was like, man, am I doing something wrong? Because these guys actually went to school. I didn't. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I remember trying the double clutch. I just couldn't get it down right, man. So I wouldn't use a clutch. And I just said, hey, you just finesse that baby right in. It goes right in, man. So, I was like,
yeah,
no, I'm good. I'm good, man. But I'm glad I didn't pick up the whole double clutching, man. But I like what you said in the fact that even if you're going to be a company driver, if you work in an office, right, at a company, yeah, technically you don't own that office, but that's your office. You don't want to go into your office and it's a pigsty. You don't want to go into your office, the floor's all sticky, and somebody walks into your office or walks by your office and sees a complete mess. You take a little bit of pride in your office. Well, even if you're going to be a company driver, that truck that they, hand over to you as responsibility, you're right, man. That becomes your office. So,
yeah.
you take care of it, to the best of your ability, man. So I do like that, the pride. Hey, Nando, is it the trucking culture um today? It's definitely been changing over the years. I've
Yeah.
talked about it before. Um, Once upon a time, I remember watching the movie Over the Top, which I love, man. And I'm like, man, you know what? Those are some straight truckers, man.
Those are movies. Those were movies. Were movies. Hey, tell me this, Cholo, before you go further. How
Yeah,
many times growing up or messing around with your kids, you would go, nope, where's my camera? You got to do this.
yeah, yeah, man. You gotta flip the hat backwards
Yeah,
and all that stuff, man. You know, um, Technology has definitely changed a lot. When I first started trucking, I was driving an 1981 cab over international truck.
yeah,
No power steering, the AC didn't work. There was no air ride. I mean, it was holes in the floorboard, and it's a cab over, so the motor's right under, and the AC didn't work, so it was summertime. It was I was baking in there, man. But I saw a certain type of person behind the
Mm-hmm.
wheel of a truck, right? I've been trucking for you got more years than I do. I've been trucking for 22 years. I saw a certain type of person in the trucking industry, a lot of what you were explaining. And I'm like, okay, cool. I felt at that time that me being a young Leo Mocoso, I was like 19 years old. I'm like, okay, I need to live up to a certain standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna be trucking, all right, I'm looking at everybody around me, and it's like, okay, I need to fit this standard, right? There was a standard, there was a certain thing that people do, right? And uh, technology has came, it's changed a lot of things in life, and one of the things it's affected is the trucking industry as well. But I remember, a couple of the hand signs like, hey, you know what? There's a truck down the road, or the CB radios and everything, and a lot of the CB talk has kind of gone silent now. I think that
Yeah.
takes away. Nando, how do you train the old school style when you got drivers coming out of school? Not all drivers, but there are some drivers coming out of school that never learned how to shift gears, which is very, very important, man. I tell everybody, if the driving school that you go to has even just one truck where you have to shift gears, do yourself a favor and learn on that truck, because you become one with the truck. But
Mm-hmm.
what do you do if they say, Nando, here's a rookie fresh out of school, man, teach them the old school ways. Like what are we doing, man?
So, but that was a good point though, because you want to take your, for those of you guys that are listening and are interested in getting your commercial, you want to take your license, your test for your license in a standard, because if you don't, you're going to be restricted to only driving automatics. Whether or not you get it down right away or not, um, do what you got to do to do it in a standard, because like I said, you don't want that restriction. Even though a lot of the companies nowadays are going automatics because it's cheaper for that reason, that guys don't know how, the guys can't ship.
Yeah.
Um, but I just I try to teach them for the first couple days. I have them just observe, like watch the way I shift, watch the way how I take my turns, how I'm backing up, where I'm positioning the truck, um, how I store my stuff, how I tie stuff down. Like it's there's kind of an art to it if you think about it, because anybody can just throw a chain on there, like I mentioned earlier, or throw a strap, but then 5 minutes going down the road, it's doing this, and so I just try to really explain. It takes a lot of patience and grace. I had one of my biggest thing was when I was in my walk now that I'm in is asking God for patience, and I think this is how He's teaching me patience, because it's tough, especially it's challenging, especially when some of these guys think they know it all, and for the fact that you can't even talk to people the way you used to talk to them, and you have to hold their hand and be like, no, that's not good. um, but one of the guys, the guy I was talking to this morning, he was telling that guy, he goes, you know what's cool? He said, when you're maneuvering your truck and you can tell when you're flowing, like when you're backing up, your truck just, it goes exactly how you want it to go. And you can tell when somebody's struggling. He goes, if you want to be cool, you want your truck to flow. He goes, so become one with your truck, is what he told him. Learn the ins and outs of that truck. And that's what I tell these guys. Like, you need to know the ins and outs of these trucks. You need to know what it's capable of. You need to know, sometimes you need to push it to its limits so you know what it can do if you're ever in a pinch. you know,
Mhm.
and it's so I just like I try to instill in them. I try to get rid of the bad habits within the first couple days that they're with me. And that's as far as of leaving a tie down bar on the bed. Like, don't ever leave the tie down bar on the bed. When
Ooh,
you're done with it, you put it away. You know, because how many times have you seen or heard of one of those tie down bars going through somebody's windshield? You know,
yes.
so
Yeah.
and I ride. So any of that stuff, somebody that's on a motorcycle, they're more susceptible of hitting something like that, of not being able to avoid it.
Mhm.
So it's just those little things, bro. Of like I said, like the straps, like the chains of knowing, storing everything where it goes. Not always having a clean workspace when you're getting unloaded or loaded. Like, pick your stuff up. Don't leave it on the ground. And then you're gonna trip on something and end up falling and hurting yourself. Like,
Mhm.
just I'm real. That's probably my biggest thing, bro. I'm real anal about having a clean workspace. Even when I was towing, everybody has that stereotype of a tow truck driver, that he's dirty, he's messy, and the inside of his truck, they like already in their head when you pull up. I don't want to get in this dirty truck.
Mhm.
You know how many times people would get in my truck and be like, "Wow, like we were not expecting this."
Mhm.
And then, like, just being neat, like I say, because even when I was doing that until now, especially doing that when we'd be out in the boonies or something doing the recovery, and say the lights went out in the toolboxes, I didn't need the lights because I knew exactly where everything was at. So I can go around that truck and grab whatever I needed because I knew exactly where it was at. and
Mm.
and it's those little things. I know they sound petty, and they might sound like, oh, that guy's just a jerk, but those things, come the long run, they're so helpful. They're so helpful because you can tell. You've been driving for a long time too, and it's you can tell how long somebody's been driving, or how they were taught, just by the simple fact of how they roll up their straps.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. First of all, my boy Vic right here, he loves his cigarettes and his coffee, man. Just I remember I went to a company, California Cascade is the name of the company, and I had already been driving for a while, but nonetheless, they still wanna see if you know how to drive, and then they teach you the type of driving they do. They were hauling lumber, um and the guy that trained me, his name was Mark, old white dude, man. Mark, man, this guy would just keep on smoking, Holmes. He just kept he'd finish a cigarette, and I kid you not, man. The 10-minute countdown starts because after 10 minutes, he's sparking up another one, man.
uh,
But you know, it was definitely a different time, man. It was a different time. I had no idea you could be offended back then, but it was definitely a different time. God bless that man, dog. I don't know where he's at today, but no, I agree. The what you're saying, being organized, right? It sounds like, oh man, you're stressing yourself out, making sure like everything is where it needs to be, all nice and neat. But in reality, it actually brings peace to the mind.
yeah,
Because if you need something, and sometimes you need it like that, you know, but if you need something, you know where it's at. So it's actually less stressful to make sure everything is in place and you know where it's at. Hey, where'd you put this? Did you put it in the right spot? Okay. Man, that sounds like you're stressed out, man. No, no, it's actually bringing peace of mind.
yeah,
Okay, because I don't wanna be, trying to fish around for it, and I don't know where it's at, and sometimes things happen while you're on the freeway, sometimes in a very, pretty dangerous area, man, where it's like,
yeah,
"Okay, we don't got a lot of time. I gotta jump out of the truck and make sure I gotta tend to this
yeah,
situation," and traffic is, whipping by. We ain't got time to start, looking all over the truck, so, no, definitely, man, I definitely get what you're saying. Now, though, trucking has definitely changed to
Yeah.
the point where I now somebody combated me on this, okay? So I'm just gonna say this. Out of my experience in trucking, I never used to see truckers in shower shoes and flip flops and
Yeah.
boy shorts and I never used to see that. Okay, somebody said like,
Or,
"Oh
or
man."
tight pants.
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly, man. I never used to see that, and somebody, left me a comment one time saying like, "Oh, I don't know where you've been trucking, but I saw that years ago." I'm like, "Oh, okay," but maybe not the way you see it today, because today you go to a truck stop and everything. Hey, man, some of these dudes look like they're at a pool party. It's like,
Yeah.
guy, that's what I'm saying. So when I first started trucking, I would see a certain type of character. I would see certain type of people in trucking, and I would say to myself, "Okay, I need to meet this standard. There is a
Hmm.
standard here. I can't come with any of my BS on me. There's a standard of being a trucker, and I need to meet that standard or get out of the way." Today, it's like all I'm missing is a towel around my shoulder because I'm at the beach or something,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, trucks have definitely got more comfortable, definitely. They've become big cars, or especially a lot of these newer ones that you just put in drive. And look, it's great. I'm not gonna say it's pretty luxurious. I just the company just got some brand new trucks. I've been able to hop in one of them. Very nice. However, they drive me crazy with all the sensors going off.
Mhm.
It's insane, man. But I can see if that is the only experience you have in trucking, is definitely changing the culture, man.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Nando, on these dudes just hey, I just wake up, I throw on my chanclas and I just go to work.
It goes back to the pride, bro. Like I know, if there's pride's a sin, but pride is also, it's looked at in different ways, I believe. And when it comes to work, it comes to yourself, you got to have pride. So it's like, um the shower shoes or the flip flops. When I pull, very rare do I pull in a truck stop, but when I do, it's like, seriously, guy. Like we grew when we started driving truck, you had pants and boots. That was a uniform: pants,
Mhm,
boots, and a t-shirt. Or some places a button up, whatever, however you did it. But now, even when I was towing, that was, it's been about 9 years since I've towed, or longer, 10, 11 years.
mhm.
Um, and even then, I would pull up to some guys and like they get off the truck wearing basketball shorts and flip flops. It's like, I go, you don't have to. And I would ask them because, like I said, I used to be a very cocky person.
Mm,
And I'd be like, you do you unload that truck? And you unload that truck like that? And they would look at me like, did you like you really just say that?
mhm.
Like, yeah, bro. Like you're gonna get hurt or something's gonna happen. You're gonna slip and fall if you have to unload your own truck and you're wearing flip flops and you're backing up. Some of those trucks, especially reefers, have the little slits in them, and you're gonna slip and fall. So it's sad that it's come that to that point and that's just in jobs in general. It ain't even just in trucking, bro. People just get they don't get dressed. They don't um how do I say it?
They're
They
not. They're
just
not
don't they just don't
prepared.
care,
Well,
you know?
and when it is when also for truckers out there on the road, I've said it before in some of my videos that you know most truckers do carry stuff. We got first aid kit and fire extinguisher, things like that. So if some emergency happens, right, not just to our vehicle, but if some accident happens, we can tend to it to a certain extent. I don't want
Mhm.
anybody to mistake what I'm saying that, oh man, now we're the paramedics. No, 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 we're not. But we can, to a certain extent, offer our services. But man, if some emergency happens, man, you're not, you're not dressed, you're not prepared, man, to offer any sort of assistance, man, where drivers used to. And not only that, but also, I remember somebody telling me, and they're right about this. Drivers used to do a lot more to trucks than they do today. I'm not really so sure if anybody does anything to trucks.
Yeah.
You used to adjust your own brakes.
Yeah.
You used to, even small things like you would connect your own CB radio.
Yeah.
That, people might think like, hey, that's something small. I'll tell you guys right now, man, I don't know if today's driver, not everybody even knows how to hook up their CB radio, or grease up a truck, or just small things like that. I mean, technology has really, one of these trucks that I saw, it's a brand new one, man, of 2023, and it does its own its inspection. It was kind of crazy. I was a little confused. It's like, okay, light inspection, it does its light inspection. Some of the inspections it does itself, and it'll report it itself. While that sounds good and great and everything, and I'm sure it's safe and all, it does take a little bit something away from the driver, because what once was a driver is being taken away, and the culture is definitely changed, where now what once was a driver, that's not it anymore. And it's bringing up just now people that are just driving a big car.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying from the beginning: pride, taking pride in your work. It it's a life. Trucking is, it's not a job. It's who you are.
Hmm.
It's your life. Heck, back when the um with logbooks, even on your days off, you're still a trucker, because they're recording to make sure you were off enough,
Yeah.
before you could start driving again. So even on your days off, man, you were still a trucker. Where today, it just, Nando, it just seems to me, man, like a lot of people just take it like, it's just a job. And it sucks, man, because there used to be some sort of camaraderie with truckers.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. No, 100%. And it's I'll take it a step further and be like, how many truckers nowadays, bro, don't even know how to connect and disconnect the truck from the trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's those are things that aren't taught in school,
Mhm.
which they should be. You know how many times I would go out and I feel bad about it now. I was thinking about this earlier, like how many times I would go out when I was towing to do a recovery. If somebody's stuck in the dirt, or somebody just high centered a little bit, where if they just knew how to lock the differential,
Mhm.
they would have got out. And me, because like then I was, if I went over there and I locked the differential for them and I drove it out, then I couldn't charge them. So I had to hook up a line to it and pull them out so I can get paid. You know. So it's little things like that, bro. That they don't. You tell somebody, hey, your glad hand's leaking. What is a glad hand?
Right. Right.
You know. It's what connects to the trailer. Oh, well, I've never disconnected my truck from my trailer. I wouldn't know how to do it. And nowadays, a lot of the trucks you can disconnect. You have to take the lines off. But a lot of new trucks now, you can push on the end and a button on the inside, and it unlocks the fifth wheel.
Mm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's people they don't even know where that lever's at to unlock a fifth wheel on an older truck. And it's or putting down the what the landing gear is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
what was the best truck you have driven?
my
With
boy my
Cholo.
boy my boy Vic Med right here. If you want to know where the handle is for the fifth wheel on his weird truck, it's on the passenger side, Holmes. It is.
I
I've seen it
you
myself.
know I'm gonna hurt both your guys' feelings, man, because I'm a Peterbilt guy. There ain't
Pete.
there ain't nothing like Peterbilt. A good old
Uh,
Peterbilt, and
uh,
it's Kenworths are nice. Like that old guy that I'm telling you about. He's an owner operator, and he's got a beautiful Kenworth. I think it's
mm,
like a T900 or whatever they are. Whatever, I don't know the models, but it's a beautiful truck. And his truck he's an old school dude. He's still got all the chrome and all he's got like 150 lights between his truck and trailer. Um, and it's everything custom done. He does everything to it himself. You know, and like you were saying earlier, truck drivers used to adjust their own brakes, put air in their tires.
yeah.
Um, some guys don't even know they don't know how to do that. It used to be a requirement on the test. I don't know if it still is, to explain how you adjust the brakes. You know,
Right. Yeah,
and
it definitely what you know what? The computer does the pre-trip. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. That was a little confusing to me. I had somebody explain it to me that the truck does its pre-trip for you on the dash, and it's like
yeah,
I was okay, like I said, while that sounds good and all, it definitely takes away from trucking and what makes a trucker or what once upon a time was a trucker. I don't like it, but hey, that's where we're at, man. I guess all we can really do is just hold on to some of those old values. The lights to let somebody in, the thank you, why you turn off your rear
flash your
lights.
headlights. You don't see that
Yeah,
no more.
man. Yeah, yeah. You flash your rear lights, man, to
Yeah,
thank them once they let you in. A lot of that stuff is going away. The conversations on the CB radio due to smartphones, that's kind of going away. Just call signs. Everybody just having a nickname out there. Hey, what's up, man? Breaker 19. They call me Overhaul. And just all that good stuff, man. That everybody that is not in the trucking industry that thinks that that's what trucking is, it was, and it's been fading away. It's been fading away, and it's been fading away pretty fast. And it's sad. Oh well,
so,
technology's gonna
so
keep doing this thing, man.
so what was your call name? Your call name on the radio?
Easy money, easy
He's
money.
I never had one because, like I said, in the trucks that I drove, they had CBs,
Mhm.
but they were never hooked up. They were no,
Okay.
we didn't have a use for them.
Mm,
So, and in the in doing towing, we didn't have everything was done on our phone. So, um,
okay.
but I remember going with my pops, and hearing him talk on the radio, and just hearing all those guys talk. It was pretty comical, you know. And like I bet or you ask a trucker nowadays, what is a smoky? What is a bear? What is a polar bear? They're gonna be
Mm.
like, they're in the zoo, you know.
Ah, man,
You
those are
know,
gonna give you a ticket. That's what they're gonna do, man.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Hey, what's up, Fonzie? Shouts to OG Trucker, man.
so that
Nando,
guy, shout out to that guy. He had a really good story. I enjoyed that one. That was a good
yeah,
one.
yeah, man. Yeah, shouts to him, man, out there trucking it up. Nando, brother, any last words, man, you want to say before we wrap it up? Any shout outs or just any message that you want to give to old school drivers that are kind of feeling what you're saying and it's like, yeah, man, I don't like what's going on today. Any new school drivers that are like, hey, man, I'm just going off with what they taught me. Anybody who's thinking about getting into trucking, like, oh man, I don't want people to start hating on me, man. I'm just gonna go off what they teach me. Like anything, big dog, anything you
I
guys.
was I said this earlier, and I actually had some. I have it written down on my phone, and since I had to do this on my phone, I can't see it, so I don't know what it is word for word anymore. But I thought about it the other day when you had first asked me. But I will say, um, if you're a new driver, and you are getting into this business, and you come across an older guy that's been driving for a while, just sit there and have a conversation with them. ask him, pick his brain, see what you learn from him, because a lot of these guys, it sucks because the truck driver is a dying breed, bro. It's now they're just drivers. They're not truck drivers anymore. You made a comment earlier that a lot of times truck drivers did a little bit more. They can do something on the side of the road or help somebody out. Well, because a lot of times a truck driver was the first person on site if something ever happened. So that's what I'm saying. The truck driver is a dying breed. And it sucks, but it is what it is. Modern times, like everything's changing just like everything else, and what I wanted to say, what I had written down, it was everybody seems to follow who is influencing them. And I say influencing and not leading because somebody that's leading you is going to lead you to succeed. Somebody that's influences you might not be doing that. So, don't get the two twisted, and it's have pride, man. Have pride in your work, and build yourself to succeed, because I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Like I said, I'm old school. I've always excelled everywhere I've been. As far as I've always been in a leadership position without being a leader, without being appointed a supervisor. So, just like I say, I'll take it back to just having pride in what you do. It's not just a job. It's your living. That's what's gonna. If you own a house, you have nice cars, nice toys. That's what's providing that. So take care of it.
Mhm. Yeah, man, definitely. And those that older head might have a little bit of an attitude, but stick with it, man, and pick his brain. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
I,
man,
I will
definitely.
say that though too. Like most of those guys, they might have that attitude at first,
Mm,
but the majority of the time, they just want somebody to talk to, man. Because if you think about it, the real truck driver, he's cooped up in the truck with nobody to talk to if he doesn't have a CB. So if,
mm.
if you sit there and just take some time to talk to him, hey man, you're gonna learn a thing or two. One last question I have for you: when are you gonna change the Thecholotrucker to Pastor Cholo?
Oh man, we've reached our time. We're out of here, man.
Uh,
Hey, man. Gracias to everybody who tapped in, man, whether you're watching live or the archives, man. As always, live your life like you're on the road. Be aware of your surroundings and always keep a safe distance. Blood makes you live, but loyalty makes you family. Till next time, this is Ed the Troll Trucker for my man, Nando, who's keeping it trucking real. Over and out.